You'll know when you have a wild woman. She'll practice her craft without boundaries. She is truly autonomous. Her loyalty is only to the family she serves, a midwife who will not allow herself to be held back by a system she didn't create.
This podcast is for the birth keepers who want to grow and change. We are open to learning through self-reflection and supportive community. We are creating this space to explore without judgment. We are remembering we were
Born wild. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Born Wild podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sophia. Leah couldn't make it today because she has daughter drama, which happens. We have a repeat guest today. I'll link Lisa's first episode in the podcast show notes, but welcome back, Lisa. I know you introduced yourself the first time, but maybe just give a refresh or what's new in your life regarding midwifery in your family, and welcome.
Hi. I'm glad to be back. Thank you. So I'm a midwife. I have been in the birth world in various capacities for 25 years. I became a licensed midwife in 2014. Really it didn't change my practice much, but anyways, but we'll get into more of that later. But recently, so I've had a very rural home birth practice for 10 years here. I guess, since I was licensed here, I was practicing the year before, but in Mendocino County, California. And recently I shut my home birth practice down for various reasons. And I'm going to be making a move north, but I don't know if I'm going to go back to community midwifery the way that I've done it for 20 years now or more. So 15, 20 years. But I've been doing traveling midwifery. So I go to birth centers or practices, help them out for a little bit, bring in some fresh energy, some new ideas. I've really gotten into teaching, doing some conferences. I'm going to do the Midwifery Wisdom Conference every year and teach and be a part of that more.
That's so great. We'll link that in the show notes too.
Yeah, it's really fun. We had our first conference this last year and it was just really diverse and really fun. And I'm really thinking we're going to be in Colorado in November of 2023. Mm-hmm. And
is there
and then we do a year
teach on, or will you do a couple different things? Or
I'll do a couple different things. I'm going to do, so the conference is you have mentors where we do different things, but then you have speakers. And this year, so I did the skills and drills portion where basically we have these round tables and then students can practice skills and get signed off. And then there's also just a ton of midwives learning from each other. So we do that for a couple of days. And then you mentor students or young midwives or new midwives, I guess. You could be any age, I guess, be a new midwife. And so I did that this year and then I enjoyed classes, but then this coming year, I'm going to do a speech on hemorrhage beyond postpartum is my topic. So I'm going to look at all things hemorrhage. So not just postpartum hemorrhage and why, but it's kind of a broad topic, but it's a personal, I've hemorrhaged twice in my life for different reasons. So it's kind of like a dear topic to me. And so that's been really fun. And then I've also been doing kind of client care revamping and chart drafting and review. So for various reasons, sometimes for organizations, sometimes for states, for NARM. So that's pretty fun. I mean, it can be, some people are like, that sounds so boring. It can be, most certainly it can be, but just trying to go through and be meticulous and trying to see how do you want client care or, mobile midwife to work for you? Making practices, systems for practices to run more smoothly and easier. for the midwife or the midwife team.
I love that. I love organization. Organization makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. When you have systems set in place, you can really like roll with it.
Mhm.
I had a pretty busy home birth practice as a solo midwife. And without the systems that I had set in place, it was just, there's no way I could have done it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, especially with the
yeah.
drive you had being so far away from people. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The driving, that's one of the reasons why I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was driving six to 900 miles a week sometimes.
Wow. Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah. But I love this community, and I'm really glad that I, served them in the time that I did. So, yeah.
Great. I think I read somewhere that Mendocino had the highest home birth rates in California out of all the counties. I think
Yeah.
like California in general was like 1%, and then Sonoma County, where we are, was 3%. And then I think Mendocino was like 6% or something like that.
Yeah, we have a huge out of hospital birth rate, percentage wise. When you look at the numbers, it may not be as big as like the cities, but percentage per population, yes, we have and we have a large unassisted birth rate and a large birth center home birth. Like we've, been known for that. The people out here are really independent.
Yes.
Yeah, they're very independent and autonomous. So.
Well, I know you and I today wanted to talk about licensing. And maybe I'll just let you start off, like when you wanted to talk about that, where did your mind go with it?
Well, you and I were having a conversation, I think about licensing and laws. And I think this is like an ongoing conversation that I know you've had in your practice and I've had in my practice. I mean, I'll come right out and say it, that there are definitely things that I go outside of licensing. And yeah, we were just having a conversation about just a little bit through text. And I know at peer review and stuff like that, the topic is always coming up. We have a sweet little peer review in Mendocino County where we all feel like we can talk about things. And so we feel safe, with each other, which is amazing. Because otherwise I probably wouldn't go to peer review because I'm always doing something that somebody's going to be like, whoa.
Mhm.
So, um, so yeah, I just thought like we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Like we should talk about the things that people don't want to talk about and like just bring it to the forefront. And it seems like all the podcasts that I've been on are kind of like that. Augustine has had me on, a couple other people have had me on, and it always ends up in this topic about something that people don't want to talk about. But I'm like, let's talk about it. So
Yeah, and that was actually the purpose of this podcast because, I was learning more about and just like questioning why I was doing things and who am I doing this for? Is it for my license? Is it for families? And Leah and I were assisting each other. And so we would do a lot of like devil's advocate with each other. And like, why would we offer her that? Why would we do that? Is it for the license? Is it for our protection? Is it for us? Or is it actually for her? And how do we like phrase things, to remind her that the choice is hers? And then we were like, we should just be recording this. I'm sure somebody else will think it's interesting. So that was the whole purpose of this podcast when we started. Yeah, so I'm convinced that the California Medical Board is trying to shut down the podcast because we just got interrupted. I was trying to say before we lost internet connection, coincidentally, that Leah and I were always trying to be like, are we doing this because we're scared to lose our license if we don't, or are we doing it because it's actually necessary for the family?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So where have
Yeah.
you landed with that? Like, why? Because I know you were unlicensed, but like dabbling in birth work for a while. Like, what led to you choosing licensure?
Well, I moved to California. So I was on a little island in my little bubble. And then I moved here and the only home birth practicing midwife was a CNM. And then, and then there was another couple of them that would come up from Sonoma County. But really the only one that was like consistent that I knew of. So I started kind of going to clinic with her, and I was like, well, I mean, basically everyone was like, you have to get licensed if you're in California because they will put you in jail. And I was like, oh, and I had young children, and I just thought, you know what? Why not? Why not complete all of that stuff, see what that's about, do it, get licensed, and see what that's about. Now, when I did my licensing, I did the challenge program. So I basically did the challenge mechanism, which is a little different now. It stopped in 2015. December 31st, 2014 was the last day to get your challenge license before they shut it down for I think 5 years they shut it down. And I got mine December 17th, 2014. So right under the radar. Also, what changed January 1st, 2015 was we could no longer, legally do breeches and twins or go past 42 weeks because of the sunset review that was up. So it was interesting when I got licensed. So the way that I was practicing before I got licensed and the people that I was helping and the two different midwives that I was working with were like kind of polar opposites. One was a CNM, one was a CPM that, is like knows no bounds,
Yeah.
And then, I worked with a couple of midwives who had just moved here around the same time that I moved here. And they also did the challenge, or one of them did. She came from Oregon, and they were kind of in the middle of those two extremes. So, and before that, I had worked with CNMs, and I had worked with a very, very, what you would consider to be traditional midwife. Lots of herbs, appointments at her home, children everywhere. And that's kind of how it was like on the island. It was just very chill, we didn't have a huge population. Yeah, we didn't have a huge population. It was very casual. That's how I had my babies on the island, the two children that I gave birth to on that island. So, yeah, so when I came here, it was kind of about, I was a little afraid of going to jail. I was really afraid of it bankrupting my family. I was like, jail, okay. I mean, that's such a privileged statement, right? I had no idea what I was talking about, still don't. I mean, I have, so it's like, the older I get, the more I look back on certain things and I'm like, well, that was pretty naive to say.
Well, always kind of the whole oh, it won't happen to me, thing. And
yeah, I mean, I kind of, so my viewpoint started changing once I got licensed. So I practiced, and then I didn't really have anything that came up that was like outside the law. For a couple of years, everybody's babies were head down. There was no twins. There was nobody went past 42 weeks. These
were there
kind of things.
Benefits to having your license that you didn't experience before having it, or was it really just like, this is just so I don't go to jail? Or
yeah, there are. So for instance, I can order meds, including antibiotics. I can give IV fluids, even when my husband has the flu. I can give it to him too, because I can order them. So you have the ability to order these things, which actually give you more autonomy of practice, in my opinion. Because then if somebody really does have a UTI, then I don't have to send them to the doctor. I can treat them.
So that's what it was like before, where if you needed any sort of medication for a client, you had to send them to a doctor.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, you have to get them from another midwife who's licensed.
Yeah.
So So yeah, there's that. You can order ultrasounds if your clients want them.
Mhm.
Your clients can get reimbursed through their insurance.
Mhm.
So like I have people who are getting, some of them $3,000-$4,000 back
Mhm.
from their insurance companies. So that's a real benefit to them, and opens doors. I can actually bill Medi-Cal for labs and
Mhm.
ultrasounds,
Mhm.
because I have an MPI number that allows me to do that.
Mhm.
Um,
So the first few
yeah, there
days is
are
like
there are
that.
benefits.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there are benefits that actually give you a broader scope, and you're able to offer more to clients, to families. Um,
Did you
I
notice
can do the
a
newborn
difference?
screen with
Did you
my
notice a
license, like
difference
things
during
like
like,
that.
yeah, did you notice a difference during like transports or anything? Like either the way you were like were you respected more or any difference there?
No, the hospital that we have here, actually, the OBs and stuff that we had here before I was licensed were very friendly to out of hospital birth.
Mhm.
And that kind of stuff didn't really come up as long as like you were professional and you talked like you knew what was going on.
Mhm.
Um, but certainly if I need to consult with an MFM at UCSF, then I need a license. Like to the first time that I ever had to do that when I lived here, they asked for my NPI number and my license.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to consult with them, or have my clients consult with them. So that's definitely, but I don't think I've actually ever been asked for my license
Mhm.
in a transport. I'm trying to think. I mean, I've been here for so long now too. I think Santa Rosa Sutter. I think Sutter has my license on file.
Mhm.
When I started ordering ultrasounds and labs at Adventist, they asked for my license.
Mhm.
So that kind of stuff, but not during a transport.
Okay. So when did it start to become a problem for you?
The licensing.
Mhm.
So okay, I've come to this place with my licensing. I don't know. So what happened was clients started going past 42 weeks. So I'm pretty casual about it. I'm like, well, if you go past 42 weeks, here's the standard of care at 41 weeks. I'm supposed to offer you an NST. I can do an NST. I have an NST machine. I can do it.
Mhm.
My license says I can do it. But like I could even bill for it if I wanted to, but even if I didn't have a license, I could, sure, whatever. Um, I kind of have come to this place with my license where I'm going to practice the way that I practice, which is giving informed consent. I see every person, every body as a sovereign, autonomous being. So I give them like what the standard of care is, what my opinion is, like, okay, this is the standard of care. People will say, how many clients of yours do you think I should give my baby vitamin K?
Mhm.
And I tell them, here's the evidence. Did you read the evidence-based stuff? Did you read the informed consent? And then I tell my clients, if you want to know what my opinion is, you need to ask me what I did with my children.
Mhm.
Because I'm not going to tell you what my opinion is about what you should do with your body and
Mhm.
your baby. I'm going to give you the options.
Mhm.
I'm going to give you the options. We can run through scenarios. Like, for instance, clients' babies remain breech, then it's like, well, you can do the spinning babies things at 34 to 36 weeks, acupuncture, moxibustion. We go through all of those things. You can do nothing.
Okay. So it is 2 days later. Lisa and I are back from
Mm,
podcast jail. No,
yeah.
we think we were just having internet issues, but I'm suspicious.
Yes, it was very suspicious. Like every time we started saying something good, it was like,
Yeah.
no, you can't say that.
So we're back. We're going to try again. And we were talking about how, at what point did having a license affect your practice in a negative way, or you start recognizing that, it is feeling like it's tying your hands a little bit to be able to support families in the way you used to be able to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, like I said, the first couple years that I had my license, I wasn't really coming across anything that was like outside the stupid laws that say things like you can't go past 42 weeks and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So, and I never put into practice like a thing of like, okay, you're 41 weeks now, and you got to get an NST and you got to like pressure. I never adopted that philosophy. So I actually think that a lot of the moms or the families that I serve, because I'm not pressuring them, you know, then they go into labor naturally. I mean, when you pressure people who are pregnant to do certain things, it releases stress hormones, which is not conducive to labor.
Mhm.
Like it's just not. So I never adopted that policy. When babies were breech, I never adopted the policy of like panic and immediately ECV or like whatever. Um, and things just for the first couple of years, they just kind of worked out that way and nothing ever came up. Then I had a client who she was like, well, I normally go past 42 weeks. And I was like, okay, so you'll go past 42 weeks. Just expected it. And then she brought it up at like 41 and 4 days. She was like, so, you know, it says that like I'm not supposed to go past 42 weeks. And that's kind of how she framed it. I don't remember exactly because this was many years ago.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, what do you mean supposed to? And she's like, well, the law, that. And I was like, oh, yeah, that. Um,
Oh, that pesky thing.
I was like, oh, yeah, thanks for the reminder. And I was like, you know what? Look, let's just have the conversation about, going past 42 weeks without an NST or BPP or any of that stuff. And I'll write it down in your chart, and then you can sign it saying that you are a sovereign being and take full responsibility for your decisions. And she's like, well, I've been reading that like there are some midwives who will just, they transfer your care, and I was like, oh, yeah, well, I'm not going to do that. Um, and so then she had her baby at 42 and 2 days.
Mhm.
And then I brought it up at peer review, and nobody shamed me,
Mhm.
but I didn't feel shamed, but it definitely was like, whoa, like, wow, you're so brave, and like I was just like, wow, this is like a big deal to people.
Mhm.
And then what started happening
I think
was like I had
probably not the 42 weeks was a big deal, but the fact that you still supported her, like the like
right.
stepping on the licensure toes was like, woo, scary.
Yeah. That I was like, I couldn't really suss out like what I was being brave about. Was it that I was going against the licensure? Was it that she was past 42 weeks and that was dangerous for her baby or her body or whatever? And, there was a lot of questions like, well, did she hemorrhage? Well, what did the baby look like when it came? What was your gestational? I was like,
A full
no,
beard, a full beard
right.
by the time you came out.
The kid needed a pedicure, right? It's like, and I was like, well, it was a normal birth. What can I say? Like nothing weird happened. And,
Mhm.
there was no like, yeah. So so then over the past, I guess, what is it, 6 years now? Because that I think happened about 6 years ago. Now I get people like, I'm no, like I get people will release them from care and send them to me.
Mhm.
Or people who know that they're going to go past 42 weeks will hire me.
Mhm.
Um, breaches, twins, um, things like that. And my husband is like, so recently I've been on a couple of other podcasts, and he's like, you say these things that are going to get you in so much trouble. It's like, but really, like, it's not like a practice that I have that like I seek it out or I'm like advertising, right?
Mhm.
It's just that I, you know, I believe that my license is a tool.
Mhm.
And I can use that tool when it's appropriate to use the tool. So that's ordering meds, ordering ultrasounds that people want. But ultimately, I consider us sovereign beings of an autonomy and have a medical autonomy over our own bodies. Sovereignty means that the supreme power and authority of. And so that's the place that I come from, is like medical freedom, which in the last 2 years, because of the pandemic, because of the big C, like all of these things are coming up again. And I'm like, well, gosh, like us midwives have been living in this world for many, many years, where our clients, like 25-30% of my clients in my private practice, don't want ultrasounds. They don't want genetic testing. They don't want constant fetal heart tones. They don't want cervical exams. They don't, and these are highly educated people. And, like, if they get like a UTI and we do some labs and then they're like, okay, well, I'll try the D-mannose and this, that, and stuff. But if it doesn't work, they understand that, the risk of the infection can cause preterm labor, miscarriage, and then they take the antibiotics. Like, I've never met a person who's making these medical decisions to not vaccinate, to not have ultrasounds, to allow their body to go past 42 weeks with no pressure, to have a breech vaginal birth, to have, vaginal twins at home or in a birth center. None of these people have ever been like, I want to do something bad to my baby. Like, that's such crap. It's bullshit. The idea that, because you're going past 42 weeks and you're allowing that to happen, that you're a bad parent and you're going to have something bad happen to your baby. People say awful things, they say awful things on the internet,
Well, and
to people.
how I've been like picturing it too is that the California Medical Board doesn't really see the parents as decision makers. Like, they're not
Mhm.
professionals. How could they possibly know? Like, because we
Right,
know that's how a lot of times they're treated in the hospital. So that's how
right.
they view parents. So they
Mhm.
see us as the ones who should know better. Um,
Mhm.
and so I remember, like, you were just listing off breech and twins and 42 weeks, and I was like curling up in my chair, like, oh, she said it online. Like, oh God, I will visit you in prison, Lisa. Like, because there is that thing where it's like, how do we protect ourselves without jeopardizing these families' experiences?
Mhm.
And like, yeah, I'm just curious about
Mhm.
the layers of protection, and because that's what we're
Mhm.
toying with right now, because
Right.
we are in
Mhm.
agreement, like, we're not
Mhm.
abandoning families. That's not
Yeah.
what we signed up to do. We're not going to do it.
Right.
How
Mhm.
do we also not end up in jail or spending 10 grand in lawyers to like
Mhm.
deal with the
Yeah.
situation, like that?
Right.
That's my thing
Mhm.
about it right now. Like, do I just
Yeah.
get rid of my license? Will that be the
Mhm.
protection that I need? Or will they
Mhm.
still be like, no, 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 you were licensed, you were trained, you're still
Right.
accountable?
Well, they'll say that you're practicing medicine without a license. So I came to a point in it a few years ago where, I mean, this is the way that I do it. I I tell the parents, I give them informed consent. I have them go to the websites, I have them read the statistics, I write it down in their chart. And then I have them sign saying that they are choosing this. And then I get to choose to attend them or not attend them. Like, it's like obvious. These people are going to have this baby outside of the medical system as long as, now what's interesting too is that I have had situations where, we're going along and like the baby's not coming down. The
Mhm.
heart tones are not good. Like, this is, and they never look at me and say, oh no, we should probably stay home. No, it's like these are clear indications that something is going on. Just because your baby is breached doesn't mean that something awful is going to happen to it. Babies die in the hospital head down.
Mm-hmm.
They have morbidity and mortality rates in this country that is out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And most of these babies are being born in the hospital. The piddly 3% that are outside of the hospital are not the ones that are rising these mortality and morbidity rates. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They want to say, they want to blame. They want to blame and they want to be like, get back in line, just like school age children. They do not want people to be autonomous. They do not want people to have sovereignty over themselves and their households and their health, because then they can't make money off of you.
Yeah.
And this is like a cog in the machine. And I call it the medical mafia, and I'll do it every day of my life. And the thing is like, they're bullies. They just want to bully you. So my point is that, when you have a variation of normal, it doesn't mean that something bad is going to happen. But the parents who I serve, the people, the families that I serve, they can hear when something is outside of normal. They can hear that their baby's heart rate is not responding to contractions, and that various positions is not helping, and hydration is not helping, and that the baby has been at station -2 for hours and is not coming down. And like these are educated folks, and so I do that informed consent process with them. They take responsibility for staying home. And then I choose to attend them. And I choose to do it knowing that I could get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I make my choice, just like they're making their choice. And I fully expect at some point in time for the medical board to slap my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I may have to give up my license. I may have to go to jail. I may have to, like, that's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a choice that I'm making. Like the choice that they've backed us into a corner, and they're saying, you either need to choose us or the families that you serve.
Yeah.
And there's no fucking way I will ever choose them. Excuse my language.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like there's no way. And I do it knowing that I could cost myself my license, my livelihood, all of those other things,
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the other choice to fall in line and to listen to a bunch of white dudes in Sacramento tell us what to do with our bodies is not an option for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. I mean, because I thought about it. I thought about it really long and hard, like, I should adopt these protocols and give everybody Dr. Christopher's, 6-week prep so they go before 42 weeks. But you know what? Putting women on that stuff all the time, that has risks too. Like that has medical risks as well. So I've chosen to, in my own sovereignty and in my own autonomy, choose to serve the families. And I've just laid it to rest. And I don't have a love-hate relationship with my license. It's there. It's a tool. I see it as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't have any like big words of wisdom of like, I reached this epiphany and I have the magic answer.
Lisa,
No,
how to keep us out of jail.
I don't. I actually don't. But if I ever were to go, I mean, the other thing is that if I ever were to stand in front of a court of law, I would not want to lie. Like you lie on your charts, you lie doing this, you like make things look good. You know what you're doing? What's happening is you're A, lying, and B, you're not providing statistics to show them that they are wrong. That women can go past 42 weeks, pregnant people can give birth to breeches vaginally, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was ever held to task for any of the decisions that I've made, I would want to stand A, in my truth, and B, in my sovereignty, and C, just say that, this is it. They're sovereign beings and they are choosing that, and I'm choosing to support them
Mhm.
because quite frankly, I think that it's safer for families to feel supported and to have the support that they want. Now, if you choose to have an unassisted birth, then that's you and your own power feeling doing the safest thing for you. Fine, great. But these families want a professional who, if the breech baby is starting to turn posterior, knows what to do,
Mhm.
knows how to keep the baby, what is the normal physiologic process of breech, twins, all of those kinds of things. And that information is being guarded and kept. And part of that problem is that we're running out of providers. We're running out of providers to show how to do that and how it's safe. And you know what? If you go to other countries, not such a big deal.
Mhm.
I mean, certainly in some countries it is just as a big a deal, but there are other places where, they see, it's like the United States. They think that they're, the most special whatever. And then we have these massive mortality and morbidity rates. Don't even get me started on people of color and low income. It's insane. It's like our rates are that of like warring third world countries.
Mhm.
Like, give me a break,
Yeah.
And you're going to say that, you know, a woman going to 42 in one day is going to kill her baby.
Mhm.
It's
Have
like,
you heard of PMAs or PHAs, Private Members
uh-huh,
Association or Private Health Association?
yeah,
Um, yeah, because we had an attorney create us one. Because we were trying to figure out how to not, support these families without ending up in jail. That's like our mission
mhm,
statement: how to support families without
right,
ending up in jail. Our mission statement. Um,
right,
and yeah, so we had this created. We don't really like fully understand it other than, if families sign into it, we're signed into it, that we're all equal members, and that
hmm
now when we're showing up in your pregnancy, we're not showing up as your midwives, we're showing up as sisters in community together.
hmm
And we just don't understand it 100% yet. So that's like our goal this next year, is to really dive down the PMA, PHA
hmm
rabbit hole of like how to really set this up so it feels really solid, and that
hmm
it can be a legitimate option where we can have families come on and share their birth stories
hmm
in full transparency and honesty without
right,
fear of,
hmm
us getting in
yeah,
trouble.
hmm
Because I hate to have to like change any stories, like you were saying, like tell it in full
right,
honesty.
yeah,
Um, yeah. Have you
yeah.
ever like considered extra like layers of protection, or you just like, I'll deal with it when it comes, kind of thing, if it comes?
Yeah, I've thought about the PMA thing. I've talked to Hermione, the lawyer that's there through through Midwifery Wisdom, who
Mhm.
recently won that case in Nebraska, by the way,
Oh, really?
which I totally want to bring up because it kind of proves a point in my mind.
Will you share?
Um, yeah, yeah, definitely. But I've looked at that and I think that the state of California does not give a shit about a PMA. I don't think I think they're like, you have a license and that's what you're beholden to. And if you don't, you're practicing medicine without a license.
Mhm,
And I think that I think it gives, for me, it seems to give a false sense of security.
mhm,
Um, and I think that they go after the licensed provider or the unlicensed provider who's attending because they can't go after the families.
mhm,
They know that these families can choose what they want for their bodies.
mhm,
So they can't go after them. So they go after whoever else is in the room.
mhm,
And I think that that's, that's really like the crux of it, right?
mhm,
I have faith in my families that I work with, that when I'm giving them informed consent, a decision making process, and I send them out on their own to do their own research and come back and they make a statement about that they're standing in their truth and I'm standing beside them and supporting them. And I'm just like, I think that this is as good as it gets, standing in sovereignty, medical freedom, and as a team. Now, some midwives are like, oh, families will turn on you. Be careful. I'm not naive to that. I've seen that. Not in my own practice, but I've seen that.
Not the families. I've heard of like the grandma or,
Yes.
yeah. Or
Yeah,
even somebody
exactly.
who just is like, they might not even be complaining about something, but word gets
Right.
out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, word gets out or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, but, so in Nebraska recently, midwifery is illegal. Out of hospital birth is illegal. People are still doing it. It's just like the abortions that are going to start happening across our country in states where they made it illegal.
Mhm.
Um, this midwife, she is a trained midwife. She has attended breaches, and this baby was discovered to be breech in labor, is my understanding. I haven't listened to all the trial, but I have listened to some. And then she called, something was wrong. The baby wasn't coming or something. So she called 911. They came. The baby had head entrapment, but was born actually after she transferred care to the paramedics. There was like some time that went by where they weren't doing, first of all, can we just train the EMTs to just like, they don't know anything about birth or NRP, or like, it's very rare. Some of them are, I'm not going to say across the country. However, the state charged her with child abuse. The baby died. The baby died 2 days post birth. And the state charged her with child abuse. And then they went to trial. So it was not a trial by jury, it was a trial by judge. And the judge basically came down with the verdict and said that these people had the right to choose to have their baby out of the hospital, and they had the right to have a breech baby at home. And that the midwife, the state failed to make their case. And he even said in there that people have the right to bodily autonomy and sovereignty, which is huge. That's huge in so many ways, so many ways. And really, I think that it's going to set a precedent. It will probably be a precedent-setting case. It may end up in the Nebraska higher courts. We'll see what the state chooses to do with that. But if you watch part of the trial, and it was, the OBs that they transported to. So, they get in the ambulance, they go to the hospital, and the two OBs that received this, and the one main one said like, "Oh, well, we're state mandated reporters. We had to report this because of that." So that therein lies like the witch hunt, right? It's like, well, if we don't say anything and then somebody else finds out, then we're in trouble too because we didn't say anything. So it's like, it's just, you know, old as time,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like, let's get them to turn on each other instead of turning on us. And then we'll create this like this implication, that, guilt by association kind of a thing. Which granted, if you're standing there watching somebody hurt somebody, like physically hurt somebody, then if you're not trying to get help, or if you're not trying to, then you are complicit in a way. But this is different. It's not that it's not it's a gray area. It's like, so. And I mean, the OB on the stand was like, yeah, breaches can be delivered vaginally and they can be safe. And like, she had to admit that the midwife didn't actually do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So, and I think that the judge took that into consideration. I mean, I think he took a lot of stuff into consideration. The EMT, the lead EMT or sheriff or whatever, he said, well, we're able to handle emergencies because we have a bulb syringe we have bulb syringe, and
Dear.
it's like, oh God. I was like, good Lord, you could not be more naive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you don't even have a delete. Like, do you even know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. But I do think that it is a pretty precedent setting case. And I mean, I've listened to, Birthing Instincts podcast. They have one on there where Dr. Stu is like, he's like, somebody's going to end up going to jail or get prosecuted, and then it's going to be a case. And then that's, and unfortunately in our litigious society, especially California, man, they love to like, you know, they just love, OBs. I heard a statistic recently that in the state of California, the medical board complaints, they go through the consumer um, affairs, and 100% of midwifery complaints get investigated.
Wow.
100% of them. And for OBs, it's like 4%.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, good old boys club,
Yeah.
protect our own, good old boys club,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. It's like shocking to me that they even like have given us the ability to be licensed. Because I go to other states like Oregon, right? So I have a license in Oregon as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Oregon state laws are really limiting for midwives. We can't do NSTs. We can't do ultrasounds. Like we can order them, but we can't do them.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a lot of limits on them.
I guess my
Like here in
last
California.
question would be like, and I know this is specific to California, but like, if you have a client and it looks like you'd be stepping out of scope for one reason or another at the birth, either 42 weeks or breech or, whatever,
Right.
what would be legal? Like supporting her prenatally, legal. Would Montrese support at the birth leading up to delivery be legal? Would attending them immediately postpartum be legal? Like, what part is the illegal part for us? Literally watching the 42-week baby come out, literally watching the breech baby come out. Like, what piece gets you in trouble? Or
yeah,
bigger story than that, but
yeah. Well, there's also other things besides breech twins past 42 weeks. There's like,
I'm curious
like
if
thyroid issues, and there's
at the birth, step outside, the baby's born, and come back in. Is that legal? Like what piece?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know, to be honest with you. It's interesting because when you read the licensing protocols on the medical board website, it's very like it's very black and white, and then there's also like a real vague sense there, right? So it's like you're damned if you do, you damned if you don't, right? So it also states that like we can't do medical abandonment. So it's like, okay, so if I'm at a birth, which recently this happened, on Valentine's Day of 2022, I went to a woman's house. Her baby was head down last time I saw her. And I know this because, I mean, I'm not always right, but 99.99% of the time, I know if the baby's head up or head down. And especially with a multi. So I go to her house, set up the stuff, listen to the baby. Baby sounds good. She's tired. She lays down. This is a repeat client of mine. This is her second baby. I was her midwife with her first. And I get there and she wants to take a nap after that. I'm like, okay, great, take a nap. So we set all the stuff up and the tub was, doing the filling, and then I went for a walk with my assistant around her neighborhood, 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk. And then her husband comes, in his car, and he comes around and he's like, something's going on. She's in the shower and something's going on. So we go to the house and she's like, something came out of me. And I was like, well, you still look pregnant. Let me look. So then I look, and between her little butt cheeks is a foot, one little footsie. And I was like, okay. let's get you out of the shower. So get her out of the shower, lay her down, check her. She's like a stretchy 7, definitely a footling breech. Baby is actually like coming. She lives an hour from anywhere, from any service, right? Also, she lives in a county that has limited access to 911. For the entire county, there's like 4 ambulances. And for them to get to her is going to be at least 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at them and I tell them that. I tell them the exact thing that I just said to you. And I was like, do you want me to call 911 or just proceed to deliver the baby or proceed to deliver the baby and call 911? And so then what happened was within 10 minutes, she had the baby. Basically, they were like, no, don't call 911 if nothing's wrong. And I was like, nothing's wrong. Your baby's heart rate is great, which I could feel through its cord because it was coming down the way. So, so yeah, she delivered that footling breech baby in her home, and I reported it on her birth certificate. And then I thought, as an afterthought, 2 weeks later, I thought, oh crap, did I just do something illegal? And then so I looked back. I went back to the medical board website and I looked at the regulations, and no, I didn't. If birth is imminent, if there's no ability to transport, if you have the skills to manage the birth and there's no endangering, right? Fetal heart tones were fine. Everybody's statistics and vitals were fine the whole time. Mm-hmm. Then you continue to deliver the baby and assess.
What about 42 weeks? Easy enough to say surprise breech, right? Like they can all be surprise breech.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Right.
Surprise twins out the yin
right?
yang,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Hey, some lady gave surprise twins. She had all OB obstetrical care and was in labor at the hospital, had baby A, and then another baby came and nobody knew. I was like, this is fantastic. I love this.
I'm going to quote this. Yeah.
I'm like, this is gold.
42 weeks, other than like, oh, dates are off and adjusting things. But what if it's like, there's no way around it, you know, everywhere we turn, you are post dates. Like, how, like, is there a way to legally support them and step out of the room?
I don't know. Probably not. Because the law actually states that we're supposed to transfer their care.
Yeah.
So that's the part on the 42-week one where it states that. Like that. Yeah. That's where they got us on that one, right?
That's another question I have. Like when you are transferring care, because we will, like, in air quotes, release a client from care formally. I know our laws state that we are supposed to physically transfer, you know, like we are supposed to call and find out who's the receiving provider and like document all that. What we have been doing is saying the California Medical Board sees you as high risk. Like we don't say we see you as high risk. We're like, they see you high risk.
Yeah.
The recommendation from the California Medical Board is for you to transfer care, immediate induction. You have stated you understand these risks. You know, we are happy to provide, you know, postpartum care at your request. And then we give them their records and we kind of leave it up to them. I don't think that's what our law wants us to do. They want us to like hand them over, but we don't do that. So
they want us to send the records somewhere and formally transfer care. So even if that's like you send the records to your local hospital, and you say this woman is 42 weeks and they're out of my care, but you know, then that whole medical abandonment comes up, right? So like if they're quote non-compliant, you know, then, and they're not gonna follow through with that, you know, and I also like, I hesitate because I hesitate having, you know, doing that. And part of the reason why is because, you know, for somebody like a person of color who chooses not to transfer care and then have an unassisted birth, that's a CPS case waiting to happen for child endangerment. And so I am not going to put a family in that kind of a position.
Yeah.
Just not going to do it,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, that's what we're legally supposed to do.
Yeah. I'm just like
Yeah.
trying to chalk it up to like, oh, I didn't know. I thought this was enough. It's kind of like
Mhm.
the same where, you know, I have a Prius hybrid and they give you a sticker where you could be in carpool lane for 2 years. And
Mhm.
I got in 2015. I'm still in the carpool lane and I'm just
Yeah.
banking on saying like, no, it's a forever sticker and being like, what do you mean 2 years?
Right.
So that's kind of how I'm
Yeah.
this game right now, where it's like, oh no, we gave the client, you know, their
Mhm.
records and assumed they would go to whatever care provider they felt or birth at home and
Mhm.
assisted or
But then if you attend them, if you even go to the birth and step out while the baby's being born, and like a doorman sees you or a neighbor has a camera that catches you or your car or any of that kind of thing. And so I've thought about that as well. And for myself, I've just chosen to just be truthful
yeah.
and own it.
I've almost thought about a practice where there's a licensed midwife and a radical birth keeper. And the licensed midwife has the ability to do all the birth certificates and all the everything and order all the
Yeah.
supplies. And the birth keeper is the one who takes over things out of like scope. And, you know, it's like,
Mhm.
how can we like
Yeah.
still have this like
Mhm.
relationship? And then part of me just feels like I want to vomit thinking about it all. Screw you. And like, abandon it
Yeah.
all, and it's
Yeah.
frustrating.
Mhm.
Like the idea of
Yeah.
telling on someone because they're past dates or like handing them over, it just makes me so sick to think.
Yeah.
I just won't.
Yeah. 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 It's really, and I think that, my number one job when I'm with families is to give them informed consent. And when something really doesn't look safe, like poor fetal heart tones or no growth or bright red bleeding at 32 weeks, and you've not had an ultrasound, oh, you probably have a low-lying placenta. Let's check this out. Like these are things that are like, astronomical blood pressure, right? Hypertension, preeclampsia. These things are the things that I'm watching for that are like, okay, you need higher medical care. You really need to go in and be seen, and maybe it is safer for the baby to be born at 32 weeks instead of your placenta detaching and then your baby dying, right? So it's like these things, there is definitely like things that come up in pregnancy just like in everyday life where it's like if I took my blood pressure and it was, 100 and I don't know, 190 over 100, I'd probably go to the ER. I'd probably walk myself or have somebody take me to the ER and be like, oh shit, something's not right with my body.
Mhm.
So it's not that like, it's that these arbitrary laws are actually creating unsafe conditions for people. Like induction, like because you're 41 in 6 days, now we're going to pit you. We're going to give you miso on your cervix. These things, they up the chance of postpartum hemorrhage. It ups the chance of fetal distress. It ups the chance of prolonged labor. And these are like statistics that are coming out of the hospital. It's not even like I'm making this stuff up. So the where I stand and where I don't think I'm going to move from this. Now, okay, I will say that when I work for birth centers, I follow their regulations.
Right.
Hands down. I'm an employee at that point and I do what their standards say.
Mhm.
But I also don't stress about it. I'm not going to stress somebody out at 41 weeks because, like I said, that's not conducive to good care. But I'm also assuming that these people want to be in this care and they have read all of these guidelines and they know that this birth center is accredited and they have malpractice and they're like all of this other stuff. So
Mhm.
they've made their choice already, right?
Yeah.
But it's like when I'm doing my own autonomous sole proprietorship, I'm like, yep, I got a license. It says that I can be an autonomous medical care provider, and that what I see as unsafe is what I need to transport and transfer for. I
Mhm.
don't see past 42 weeks as being that.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Arbitrary number.
Yeah. And I mean it, and I also like now, now I have seen so many people go past 42 weeks. You
Mhm.
know, I had my first daughter, my first kid, she's 29, and I had her at 42 and 4 days. Nobody gave a shit.
Yeah. There's a lot of money to be made off of induction.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
C-sections, which is what all the
Mhm.
breech and twins and postdates
Mhm.
end up being, either
Mhm.
a C-section or at least an
Yeah.
induction.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, and it's unfortunate too that they use fear. You know, I have a birth sticker. I have one birth sticker on my car, and it says "Birth without fear,"
mhm,
and it's like that's that's my number one thing. I
mhm.
mean, I know that things. Okay, I've seen some shit go down. Okay, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. But I've also seen that it usually works, and with a care provider who knows when something is actually wrong, and not something that's like a made up wrong. you know
Yeah.
um that's I think like the safest care.
Mhm.
I think that gives you the best outcomes.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a magic answer. I wish I did.
Well,
um
I think this is a conversation that we should keep having, like
mhm,
maybe once a year even or something where
mhm.
it's just like, okay, are you still out of jail? Okay, where are we?
Yeah.
And like, what does your practice look like? And any more
Yeah.
tips and tricks that come up. And um,
Yeah.
this was such a good conversation, and we didn't have an interruption once, which maybe leads me more to believe it really was an internet thing and not Big Brother. But
Well,
uh,
I don't know. Maybe they're just gonna use this in my trial. I don't know.
that's true. They're like, oh, they're digging their own grave. We'll allow it.
Oh my gosh. But I mean, it's an interesting, it's a good conversation to have. And I think that,
This was all theoretical. This whole
right.
conversation. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if
yeah.
anyone's listening and wants to reach out to you, how can they reach you? And we'll put it all in the show notes.
Okay. Well, my name is Lisa Rawson. That's Rawson. And on Instagram, I'm Lisa Rawson _LM. My business name is Mountain Valley Midwifery. And so you can catch me there too. I have a Facebook page with Mountain Valley Midwifery. And you can also reach me through the Midwifery Wisdom experience. So yeah, through there. And I'm really enjoying doing like chart review and just helping birth centers and midwives get like clear on their systems and their protocols, and supporting students, and just supporting people and doing midwifery in the way that their community needs and wants them to do, and providing support for that.
Great.
um, yeah, and I've been traveling. Oh, I'm going to Italy with the Midwifery Wisdom experience in the first week of May. And then we're going to go, Augustine and I are going to go to like Albania and some other places. And I'm going to like kind of revamp myself. I don't know what midwifery is doing for me right now.
Mhm.
But I have been at it for 20 years, and I definitely am not done with it. It's not done with me,
Oh,
but
that's why you're being
um,
open. You're fleeing the country.
I'm going to live in Albania. No, it's but yeah, and I also think just like, you know, stay in your truth, like stay in your truth, because that when you know yourself and you know your truth, then you come from a place of power. And when you start to struggle with that, reach out to your sister midwives, to your families, to your friends, whoever it is that can realign you with your strength and your truth.
Yeah. Great. Beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again
Yeah.
for the
Good to
double
see you.
episode in one.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we'll be in touch in at least a year to see where everyone is
Yes.
landed.
Yeah. And hopefully I'll see you at peer review.
Yes. See you.
Yes. Awesome. That
Bye.
sounds good. Okay. Bye, Sophia.
Thanks everybody for listening. You can find us at Born Wild Podcast on Instagram. For inquiries or feedback, you can email us at bornwildpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me, Emma Ray, on Instagram at Emma Ray, REA.
Sophia at sophiabirth.com.
And me, Leah, at Bay Area Home Birth.
We would really appreciate it if you would rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us reach more people. And as always,
Stay wild.